Hello and welcome. It's nice to be with you. I would like to introduce you to my podcast. I named it Good Wins because I believe that to be true. As humans, we desire good. We are hardwired to expect it, but there are times when good can seem tricky to find. Sadness, loss, fear, division, and other bad things may appear prominent, but they are not the end of the story. We yearn for the happy ending, but may need a reminder that everything will be okay. I have seen good prevail in my life, and I believe it can for you too. Regardless of the challenges you face, or whatever may be happening in your world, there is another chapter just around the corner. Goodness will prevail. Good things will happen to you and for you. Good wins. I have always had the privilege of working close to home. My best days would be when I would leave work at lunchtime, drive home, and watch Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood with my two sons. My wife would lay out a blanket on the floor, and the four of us would spend what would be the most enlightening, the most uplifting, and the fastest 30 minutes of my day. Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood was a children's television show. It was the creation of one man, Fred Rogers, who started his work when television was in its infancy. He was upset by the violence he saw on TV in the 1950s. He felt television had the power to do more, so he created a show that reminded each child that they were special. His most famous saying was, "I like you just the way you are." Watching Mr. Rogers was a highlight of my day. I was at home, I was with my family, but I found myself tuning in not only for my sons. He spoke to me. His messages seemed to be what I needed to hear. It became clear to me that his caring messages of love, acceptance, and being good enough just the way I am resonated with something deep within me. That feeling has never left. Since then, I have become convinced that I'm not the only adult who needed and received love from Fred Rogers. He died in 2003. Maybe I am pessimistic, but I don't believe the years since then have been our best. Life has gotten harsher. There are more people spewing hate and fewer people pouring out love. I want to be one of the latter. But how? At the time, I was raising a family, busy at work. Podcasts hadn't been invented yet. I had the desire to speak hope, but the timing wasn't right. Many years have passed since those days of watching TV on the floor. My sons are now men. I've learned a lot. Along the way, I gained the wisdom one gets when living through life's ups and downs. When I was 59, I suddenly found myself without a job. When the shock wore off, I discovered I suddenly had the time, technology, and the life experience to realize what I believe is my purpose. What would I talk about? The simple answer is that I would talk about the thing I know best, my life. Specifically, my life of overcoming, of becoming resilient, of choosing to see the good in every situation. I would share stories of believing for better, even when the circumstances say better isn't coming. Believing for abundance when the signs around you say lack. Believing for good when it seems invisible or when bad is all around. It may be old-fashioned, but I believe in the concept of community. People helping one another, serving each other. If I have something you need, then I gladly provide it. and vice versa. I've always wanted to be a helper. This podcast is one way for me to build and live in a community. May I make this personal? My dad finished 8th grade. My mom had a high school diploma and was once a secretary. I wasn't a remarkable student. My expectations were small, and my future should have been small. Almost by accident, I broke out and up. I am happier and better off financially than I thought I'd be. I have defied the odds. I have had a lifelong struggle to find self-confidence. My childhood was sometimes scary. It left me with an unclear picture of my value, of my worth as a person. I have lived through seasons of low, of loss, and of little. But I've also experienced seasons of plenty, of high, and gain. Not one step forward and 2 steps back. Each of the great disappointments I've experienced were followed by a lifting to a place higher than I was before. I've had what I believe is a remarkable life for someone unremarkable. Why am I telling you this? First, I feel privileged to pay it forward, to share some of what I've learned. Second, I am completely convinced that if it happened to me, if I've been able to live a life better than I imagined, then anyone can. I now believe that there is something good to be found in every experience. Unless we have hope or the resilience to endure until the good arrives, we may miss it. We might give up before it arrives. Often we do, in part because we don't know to expect the good. For many of us, our lives are so filled with bad, we don't believe the good is out there. Or worse, we don't think it applies to us. We don't deserve it. I'm here to say to you, good is real. It is out there, and you deserve it. May I speak to you from my heart? I believe in you. I like you just the way you are. You can do whatever you need to do. You can overcome whatever stands before you. You are the author of your story. You control how it turns out. You have the power to change what the story might look like today to what you want it to be. Resilience isn't granted to those who lead an easy life or those who run from their problems or avoid them. Resilience is earned. It is earned when you're honest with yourself, when you realize that the trials of life aren't meant to defeat you. They are meant to make you stronger, better, to take you higher. You may be thinking, why should I listen to what he has to say? After all, we've never met. You don't know me. And who am I to speak so personally to you? These are honest questions. May I offer 2 observations? First, this isn't about me. If you are listening this far into my message, you may be finding my words helpful in some way. Something resonates with you. Second, and most importantly, inside each of us are seeds of possibility. Those seeds, your seeds, need nourishment to grow. That water can come from many people and places. Maybe you are finding it here. Does the parched plant care who brings the water? I offer you words of encouragement and support, sincerely and earnestly. I hope you accept them. It may sometimes be difficult to look with hope at the days and years ahead. Know this: you have everything within you to have the life you desire, to overcome whatever stands in your way. Even if a good life wasn't modeled for you, if no one in your family or around you has the life you want, you can have it. In closing, may I say this: I don't have any special power, but you do. My voice and my message is only the trigger. The power is within you. You are strong. You are enough. You are capable of amazing things.